What's up, guys? Today we are going to talk about Pulsechain. And like I had said before, Richard Hart would ultimately deliver. I felt like that Pulsechain would eventually launch and people would get their sacrifice coins eventually, as long as the SEC didn't try to go after him or some kind of weird thing happened. Now, it's kind of funny because it's like he stopped flexing on people with, the Prada Fit and the Louis Vuitton and all that kind of stuff. And now, on Twitter, his header profile is kind of some beat up cars like in front of a older house. So I don't know. The guy's pretty funny. At the end of the day, Pulsechain, it is out. I am on Pulsechain with a little bit of funds, and I'm going to be putting more over there. I did not sacrifice. That's, I just, I had a little bit of Ethereum and stuff like that. And so I got a little bit of Pulse out of that. Now, as far as the bridges are concerned, there were some bridging issues, but it is bridge.pulsechain.com is their main bridge. Now, multichain.org, it looks like that they've added Pulsechain in there, but when I was trying to try different combinations to bridge off of like the Binance Smart Chain or other chains like that, it didn't seem like it was active. It's not available yet. But it does seem like they have plans to put it up there. Now, the main show in town right now, it seems, and you got to be careful. There's a lot of scams out there, but it seems like PulseX, the exchange, is the main, locked value that's out on Pulsechain right now. And then people had their validator nodes, and you need 32 million Pulse to be a validator node. And at current pricing, it seems like it would cost around $6,500. I don't know what kind of return they're calculating, but I would say it would probably be between 15 and 20%, but that's an assumption. Now, what kind of returns can you get on PulseX right now? Well, there are some liquidity pools that are 1,000%, and that would be like USDC to Pulse or DAI to Pulse, like Tether to Pulse. Now, the precarious situation is you're going to have to go through Ethereum. And this is one of the things I never liked about Hex, was that the main thing was on Ethereum, and then there was like tokenized Hex that was on Polygon, but there was like low liquidity, and it was, confusing where you could even, participate in any liquidity pools or anything like that. So that was always the issue. And most of the stuff I did with Hex was just trading in and out of it over on Hotbit. Well, Hotbit has now went down. That's new news as well. So hopefully didn't have funds on Hotbit. I don't really know what happened with it. There was some kind of excuse they made, and then the withdrawals were taken out. So hopefully people can get their funds off if they were in. But again, like we said before, not your keys, not your crypto. Don't keep your stuff out there on these exchanges. Now, as far as PulseX, a decentralized exchange, there are some opportunities right now, and Pulse has been kind of going down a little bit. And from my calculations, based on what other people have said, it's maybe 2.5 times the price that the sacrifice price was for Pulse. So people are in profit, from my understanding, and then they could sell to take some earnings, take some rewards, or they could start participating in these liquidity pools. Now, at 1,000%, it seems like 7 days would be 100% return. You double your money, essentially in 7 days. Now, are those returns going to hold up? It's kind of held up since yesterday. So I think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to happen. There's going to be people trying to get out. There's going to be people trying to get in. And so I don't know. We'll see. But what's generally going to happen is that PulseX is going to be the main show in town. And then there will be money markets. They're going to come on board. There's going to be other exchanges that are going to activate support for Pulsechain. And then people kind of spill over to those liquidity pools, and people spread out. and keep going to greener pasture, greener pasture, greener pasture, greener pasture, and hop around in these different liquidity pools and stuff on these different, exchanges that are going to pop up. Now, you got to be careful. Once again, there's going to be a lot of scams, and in general, you could get burned. But if you stick with PulseX and you stick with, like, let's just pretend Sushi Swap adds it, or different some kind of outfit like that that's like a known entity, then I think you're a lot safer, like going that route, that it's like known code, and then they're able to just implement this EVM. They're able to replicate the code essentially. So keep that in mind. And I would say right now that's kind of the game in town. Get in some of those liquidity pools if you want to take a risk on it, and let it eat. So, or if you don't want to participate, it's understandable. And if you want to wait till you can bridge in from other chains like Binance Smart Chain and stuff like that, I get that thinking as well. But for right now, it looks like that you're going to have to come into Ethereum. So the fees are going to be a headache, and it's not a good situation. So that's pretty much, for the most part, what I have to say about Pulsechain. In other news, people had asked me about the Ledger update. It seems like they backed up off of that, and that didn't seem like it was going to affect the Ledger Nano S. It was going to be the Ledger Nano X, from my understanding. And they're going to go ahead and not push out that update because a lot of people were not very happy that there would be this backdoor to get their seed phrase, and it's an attack vector, and it could compromise people's funds. So hopefully I hold off on that. And supposedly they were going to open source their code or something. So we'll see if they do that. And what else? I mean, I've already mentioned Hotbit went down. And then I guess FTX is supposedly trying to gear up to launch like an FTX 2.0. Again, it just, and I would be surprised if it happened that quick, because usually, it'd be a long time to where they could do that. I guess Voyager, the people who had funds on Voyager, they're going to be potentially getting their funds back sort of sooner than I would expect, coming up. So people will be able to get that, and then they were going to allow withdrawals, and then if people didn't withdraw their funds, they were going to be able to be paid out through a bank account or something like that. So check into that if you had funds on Voyager. That's pretty much it for today. Let me know if you guys are on Pulsechain, and if you see any new services, whether that be money markets or whether that be other exchanges that are popping up on Pulsechain that maybe have not been listed on DeFi Llama, or other kind of listing services like that. Anyway, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, like this video, and follow me on all social media at Brian Phobos, YouTube, Instagram, Steam, Twitter, Hive, DTube, everywhere.